Poland, we're going to make fun of your food. But before we do that, we're going to make fun of ourselves because the
American's going to make fun of someone's food.
That didn't take long. What was that, 5 seconds?
Sorry, Carl Jr. Continue.
Every country, every culture, I should say, has their foods that, other people look at it and say, what the hell are you people thinking of? How can you eat that crap, right? Vegemite, kimchi, lutfisk, what's it called? Lutfisk? In Norway?
Oh, the fermented fish.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's just crap.
They leave it out in the woods and dig it up or something.
You Australians, for example, God bless you. You love your Vegemite, but come on, you're just mentally ill if you think that you should eat that. It's
just
gross.
marmite, right?
We're gonna really upset how many Australian listeners?
One. Anyway. So every culture's got their weird crap, okay? And Poland's no exception. But again, first, just to be fair, we're going to make fun of ourselves. And I'll start with myself, Dave, to make you have. I'll start with myself. I've been told on more than one occasion that people think that peanut butter and jelly is a disgusting combination, which happens to be perfectly natural to me. I will to be brutally honest and fair, given my experience living in Poland for so long, I will be the first to admit that there are three things that America makes. The three things that are made in America are absolutely disgusting or gross. Our bread is weird.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Our
sweet.
Our
Tastes like
chocolate.
ass.
Our chocolate is weird.
Yeah, your chocolate's
Our
shit.
chocolate is just odd. And what was the third one? I had three in my head. Our bread is weird. Our chocolate is weird. That is another one that'll come to me. Anyway, it's just, I'll be honest. It's just, no, just don't. It's just, it sucks. Okay.
Just have another giant Slurpee.
God, there is a third one. What the hell was it? I had it right before we started recording. It'll come to me. Anyway, so guilty as charged. We have our stuff is too sweet for a lot of people, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. Josh, over to you. Tell us what's shitty about or weird about English food.
Oh, well, I think it's weird because you get this kind of nostalgia when you've been away for a while. And there's the kind of the pie, which I know people will immediately...
What?
Yeah, we go, you see.
As in a meat pie.
Well, yeah. Now, of course, there are meat pies and there are meat pies. And I'm not talking about your, classically lovingly assembled steak and gravy pie with natural...
Can I interrupt you? Oh, I'm sorry. I just remembered the third thing in America that sucks. Our cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Our cheese. Our cheese is shocking.
American cheese.
Okay, sorry. There you go. Bread, chocolate, and cheese. Awful. What are you thinking, America? What's wrong? On the other hand, we do make Reese's cups. So, it balances out a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the strange things about...
Sorry, interrupt. Back to you. About
food
your pies.
in England is that because we're such a enlightened, liberal and cosmopolitan nation, we've been... culturally appropriating other nations' food. I mean, the most popular food in Britain is curry.
Okay, but wait, go pre-World War II, before the significant Indian presence in Britain. Surely there was something that dominated.
I can't remember who said it, but some kind of snooty French ambassador once remarked that the only way to eat well in England was to have breakfast 3 times a day.
Well, he wasn't far off the mark. I think you could characterise British food pre-Second World War as falling into two broad colour groups, brown and grey.
So it's just a bland. You would the main fault with English food today is just the blandness or lack of characteristic flavors or something. Yeah?
I think traditionally it's like overcooked meat, poor cuts of meat with unpleasant bits that you only discover once you're chewing it.
Unpleasant bits.
Potatoes devoid of such things as salt or butter and boiled to extinction. Not to mention greens also boiled to mush.
Speaking of potatoes, Dave, tell us what sucks about Irish cuisine.
We have some traditional dishes I'm not a big fan of. Bacon and cabbage, never really got it. Coddle, I only say that because I know for a fact none of my mates back home listen to this show because they wouldn't be happy to hear that.
What is it?
Coddle is like a white stew with like bacon and white pork sausage. It's a barley kind of based stew. It's not dreadful, but people talk about it like it's manna from heaven in Ireland, and it's just not. Like, please give me a break. And pig's trotters, I don't like them either. No.
Pigs what?
Trotters, like what's the trotter made of?
Well, it's like chitin, isn't it? It's like fingernails.
Yeah, they're hoof or whatever.
Yeah,
And people still eat this.
Yeah, because it's traditional. But Ireland's got some great traditional food, and we make wonderful food, wonderful ingredients. We're not so much famous for our dishes as our beautiful West of Ireland lamb, our wonderfully succulent beef, our excellent cheeses, our perfectly waxy spuds. I mean, I miss food in Ireland because you always miss the food that you grew up with. I mean, that's just natural.
You mentioned the stuff that people eat there because it's tradition, not necessarily because it tastes good or because they want to eat it, just because they always have, right?
We eat this one at Halloween. It's like curly kale, it's called. It's like mashed up potatoes and kale. It's disgusting, and you're looking for a 5-pence in it. Excuse me. Sorry for interrupting you.
Just to transition to Polish food, I think you'll agree with me. The Polish cuisine has a lot of dishes that seem to have that same justification. People eat it because my grandma ate it, and so I'm going to eat it too. Not because it's better than other alternatives or other choices today. It's just because we've always eaten it and because, well, that's it. It seems that way to me. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, is there a question in there, or should I just...
It's just an observation, really.
Okay, all right.
Polish cuisine seems to be kind of stuck in time. It hasn't really evolved, and it's peasant food, which sounds like an insult in a way that it isn't. It's not. It's just called simple farm food, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just hasn't been updated in a while.
I think there's an argument for why that might be the case that's kind of more related to moderately recent political history, though, isn't it? I mean,
that's true too.
I mean, I know more than a few people in casual conversation who've mentioned that actually Poland has a marvellous and deep and ancient gastronomic tradition full of delicious things made with deer, boar, beef and lamb, which are almost non-existent in kind of current menus.
That's kind of not unique to Poland, though. Really, I mean.
No, but some of the recipes. Maybe not unique to Poland, but unique to the region. I think you can find similar in Czech or Slovakia or Lithuania.
Let's jump into specifics. Have you got specific dishes or ingredients in the Polish cuisine that you find just revolting? To be honest, that you just absolutely will not eat.
Oh, we're starting with the bad stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's make it all bad stuff for the moment.
Okay, so I don't know what it's called, but I first of all, I like Polish food. There's nothing wrong with it. It's nice and plain and simple because you don't have to order. Okay, so let's start with the bad stuff: the herring, the sledge in the juice. Ugh, God, no, keep that away from me, please. And what always gets me at a wedding where there's all these beautiful food items laid out on the table. The cakes are already on the table. I love that. The vodka's laid out. You're getting course after course. Wonderful foods, stews, cutlets, lovely soups. But the whole time you're eating, you got to stare at the chicken floating in the gelatin. The little cakes of gelatin with meat in it. Meat in jelly.
That's on my list too. They call it galaretka. There's two kinds of galaretka. One is like... the dessert, like Jello, for the fruity flavor or whatever. But yeah, this is like it's bits of meat, stringy meat, suspended in what is it? Aspic? What do we call it? Is this something like?
Well,
aspic?
I mean, yeah,
I thought it was gelatin.
Gelatin. I think
it's like
aspic,
gelatin. It's gross. What are you thinking? You don't put gelatin and meat together. Oh my God, it's gross.
Well, actually, John, but gelatin comes from meat.
How dare you, Josh? How dare you correct me? Yeah, gelatin comes from like pig hooves or something like that, doesn't it?
Well,
something
some cows for sure.
Pigs in this country.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, just the texture, and it just like Dave says, on the plate, it just looks awful. I mean, by the way, it's cold too. It's like chilled.
It never gets near my plate, but I have to look at it the whole time. My eye is just drawn to it while I'm eating all these other delicious foods, of which there are many.
Well, if it was warm, it would just be stringy meat lying in a glutinous warm puddle, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be even less appealing. But I think John still has a point about gelatin being used as an encasement for chicken. I will never get on board with it.
Nasty. What else we got? What other plates do you keep passing down the table when it comes to you?
I'm trying to think now. I've only really got the two that scare me. I've tasted both of them and they're both vile.
I'll give you one. I don't know if this is unique to Poland. I'm sure other people eat this as well, but I wasn't familiar with it at all until I got here, and that's flacky.
Tripe.
That was on my list. Yeah.
We have that in Ireland. I think that's an all-Irish thing too.
It's all over the place. I just gotta wonder, how desperate how starving, how close to death do you have to be before you look at the cow's stomach and you say, you know what, let's eat that. Let's skip the beef. Let's go straight for the stuff. How, again, desperate do you have to be? I think you have to be close to cannibalism before you go to the stomach.
Bet you anything Josh knows something interesting about tripe.
You're on the spot, Josh.
Well, it is the lining of cows' stomachs. So actually, this is I don't want to be continually quoting my father every week, but when he came over here to visit a few years ago, and I was telling him about Flacky, he said, "Oh, try it, P.S. during the war,
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it is almost utterly flavourless. It does have some nutritional value. It is the perfect partner for that universal Polish condiment, Maggi.
For me, it's not about the flavor; it's about just the idea.
It's horrible. But but it's not even. It doesn't even taste. It's horrible because of the absence of anything good.
The Scots have their haggis. That's a sheep stomach, right? So it's
Well, it's a sheep's stomach stuffed with other bits of sheep.
But it's part of the dish. You do eat it, right?
Well, I mean,
It's delicious. Have you ever had deep fried haggis?
No.
Yeah,
You deep fry it, dude.
Deep fried haggis.
good haggis is very, very tasty. But I mean, it's the sheep's stomach is the casing. Like sausage skins are pig's intestines traditionally.
We've got lots of that old school nasty shit in Ireland too. Kidneys and liver and all that.
It's a very simple reason. You used as much of the animal as you possibly could.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that famous saying, isn't it?
We have choices
pigs,
today.
The only thing that's left over from the pig after we kill it is the grunt.
All right, there's another thing in Polish.
I'd just like to interrupt to say that, it just occurred to me that, please don't take offense to this, Poland, because it's just a broad generalization. Every country, like we said at the start, has these nasty ass dishes that nobody likes. So I think we should transition to the dishes in Polish cuisine that we really enjoy.
I got to squeeze one more. Sorry, Dave. I got to squeeze one more.
I haven't done any yet.
Sorry, Josh. Yeah.
He's racing along here, isn't he? And this is not really a dish. It's not an ingredient. What is it? It's called, in Polish, they call it pasztet.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's pasty, spreadable meat.
Yeah.
And it's in these oddball flavors, goose and just weird stuff. And the concept of it freaks me out. The smell reminds me of, it smells like dog food to me. It's awful.
You imagine a French person would be deeply offended by it. I mean, yeah, it kind of looks like dog food.
And you know what? You can go to a big supermarket and the pasztet aisle is enormous.
Yeah,
there are
actually
thousands of choices in the pasztet aisle. So I don't know. I just walk really fast past that aisle. It's just grosses me out.
Pasztet is variable.
Run to the Ben and Jerry's, do you, John?
It's very variable because it does depend on the quality of the ingredients and also actually how much filler there is in it. And again, this is probably a legacy of times when meat was hard to come by and very expensive. So, I mean, pasztet is broadly similar to French pâté, but French pâté is almost 100% liver actually with a little bit of seasoning.
Yeah, there's no budget version there's no Tesco version of proper pâté.
Oh, there probably is, but I mean the French would never go around boasting about that. But,
all right, so what do you got? You said you have something on your list.
I mean, I had Flacky as well. The other two I think are well known really. One is an anagram of crap and very popular at Christmas.
Yes.
Oh,
can we talk about carp for a minute?
Okay, well, I'm going to talk
you go
about
first.
carp
Go
for a
ahead.
moment,
yeah,
because
shut up, John.
Go ahead. No, you guys listen to me.
I've had some experience of carp. Well, we've all had experience of carp, I'm sure, but I've been fortunate enough to have had Polish Christmas dinners prepared by people who really do cook very, very well. And on any other occasion, I Pavlovian salivation occurs just at the thought that this person will be cooking for me. Despite this, I have never yet had carp that I have done anything other than forced myself to clear my plate.
It's a sport fish. You practice fishing carp before you're ready to catch something you can actually eat. I mean, come on.
It's just not a fish for eating. And again, I've been told, I'm not sure if this is true, that this is again a relic from when there wasn't decent fish. I mean, the fish part of it is, for religious reasons, connected with the Catholic Church, like similar to having fish on Fridays and so forth.
The carp only dates from after the war, though.
Well, it's because,
enough.
I mean, it can be any fish, but a big fish that can feed a lot of people, that isn't too expensive, step up, Mr. Bottom Feeder.
Yeah, don't you associate it with like catfish, the ugliest animal on the planet? I mean, are they the same family of fish?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And they're not clean fish. I mean, that's why you put them in clear water.
Yeah, the Poles do put, for anyone who's listened to the show that hasn't experienced this, they leave them in the bathtub to run through the excrement. Anyway, okay, so yeah, that's a traditional dish. My wife's family don't use carp. They're from the mountains. They use a different river fish. It's not bad, man. You know, some lemon and some sauce.
Salmon is perfectly legitimate. Nobody
Basically any other fish but carp.
Yeah.
I mean, big. Well, I mean, it's a big dinner because you have lots of people there, so you want a big fish, I suppose. So, but salmon always goes down very. I've never seen anyone yet complain about that.
That leads me to my first item that I love in Polish cuisine because the
I haven't done my final.
Oh, sorry, Josh. All over you tonight, aren't we?
Aye, we are, you are, yeah. And my final one,
Stand
and
your
this may be controversial, is a Zapiekanka.
Ooh,
controversy breaking out here at the KrakCast.
I just think that they are horrible.
Now, just a quick note of explanation. Anybody listening who doesn't know, Zapiekanka is something like an open-faced sandwich meets a kind of a pizza. It's
poor man's pizza.
It's a poor man's pizza.
Yeah, it's like a baguette sliced in half.
The kind of thing that sounds like a great idea at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
right?
but the thing
like a kebab.
Despite aside from the fact that they're not particularly tasty, I mean, I don't like thick crust pizzas. I don't even like pizza very much, but thin crust pizza is okay. Thick crust pizza is horrible. Zapiekanka is like a horrible thick crust
It's
pizza.
like 3 inches thick.
And it's also not even fast food. You go to one of the stands on like Platsnovi and you order a Zapiekanka, and you end up you're standing around for 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Why?
To eat
all they're
something
doing
that
is...
you want instant
It
gratification.
takes so long. They throw it in a microwave for 30 seconds, squirt some low-grade ketchup on it, and there you go. But I guess it's because of the number of people waiting in line, I guess.
Well, no, I don't think they do throw it in the microwave. And then that's the thing. I mean,
maybe.
they cook it like as a pizza oven type thing, so you'd think it would be good, but it's not.
It's just like a kebab. Nobody even thinks about eating it at 2 p.m, but at 2 a.m, best idea you've ever
At least
had.
a kebab is quick.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now I think, Dave, we can transition to stuff that we like.
A note on Zapiekankas. My beloved used to occasionally purchase one on the way home from work with osypek on top. And I'll put osypek on a list of stuff I hate as well about Polish cuisine. That's sheep's cheese. I'm sorry for butchering the pronunciation. The mountainous.
Really salty cheese.
Oh, you remember the underpass on the way to Galeria Krakowski used to just stink of the stuff?
Yeah. It still does.
Still does.
Something. I don't know.
Anyway, so on to foods we love. We were touching on the traditional Christmas dinner, which also heavily features homemade pierogi. And if you don't like pierogi, you're slightly dead inside. It's interesting as we talk about this. I'm seeing a team develop. All cuisines have their weird, dreadful traditional foods that sometimes I suspect people eat just to show off that they, I love this stuff.
Like snails.
Yeah, I don't know if they really love it as much as they say some of the dishes we've mentioned already. However, pierogi are the dumpling of this cuisine, and every cuisine kind of has a dumpling dish, and usually they're beloved in their home country. So as we climb the ladder now, we're going to see that Poland has lots of wonderful equivalents of the type of dishes that we all savour and love. What are your thoughts? What's your favourite filling of pierogi, John?
I'm going to slightly disagree with you, though, on one thing. Pierogi can be great, but
homemade pierogi are amazing.
More often than homemade. More often than not, pierogi are kind of, what's the word? Kind of like, I don't want to say fungible. What's another word for fungible? It's like bottled water. It doesn't matter.
I can't see any scenario where you could describe a dumpling as fungible and have it be correct. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. Most pierogi are kind of like pączki. Pick one. They're all the same. But the good ones are really, really good. But most of them are average and don't stand out. The one brand of pierogi doesn't really stand out from another brand.
Well, every household in this country home makes pierogies
when you get to homemade, when they're really good, they're good. I've only been to one restaurant. I've only been to one restaurant that impressed me with the pierogi because otherwise they're all exactly the same.
Tasty.
Maybe pierogi
are tasty. He's not in very generous mood tonight, Paul.
No, I'm just saying they can be good, but more often than not, they're okay. They're
okay,
acceptable.
my favorite Polish dish, bigos. Absolutely wonderful, and it's got that brilliant thing in Ireland that everyone loves Irish stew. Every cuisine has a kind of dish like this as well, that the tweaking of the recipe makes a massive difference to the end product. So you've never really tasted bigos till you've tasted Mrs. This is bigos, and the kind of competition that breeds is wonderful for a cuisine. It's what makes it vibrant and alive, and I have tasted some awesome homemade bigos down the years in this country.
Absolutely with you on that. There's a kind of, it's like a classic stew, like a Provençal stew, except there's the hint of vinegar, juniper berries, chunks of sausage in there.
If you want a drunken snack, you could do worse than Winter. The main square does a half decent bigos. I'm not saying it's as good as the homemade versions that I've tasted, but if you're going to be wasting 15 zloty in a Zappy Kanka, I recommend just swing by the Christmas market and taste their bigos.
What else do we love? Is there anything else to?
I love cutlets. What's wrong with deep frying meat in breadcrumbs?
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that.
But that's kind of,
meat and potatoes,
If
John.
you went to half a dozen other countries, you'd get more or less the same thing.
America was built on meat and potatoes.
A half a dozen plus America. Okay.
Can I ask a question here to you guys? I love the setup of this plate. You get it all the time. Bit of salad, a lovely fresh, say, chicken deep fried cutlet. Mashed potatoes with dill on top. Wonderful, wonderful. Where's my fucking sauce? Okay.
Gravy.
Me and Collins, my beloved friend Michael Collins, we loved the Bar Malechny close to us on Sebastiana. All the taxi drivers used to go there. Always a good sign for a cheap food haunt. Their Platsky goulash was absolutely immense. We used to have it all the time. But we also loved mashed potatoes and cutlets. But some days they'd have sauce picharkova and some days they wouldn't. And we just couldn't get it through our heads that you could be served meat and potatoes without some sauce. It was wonderful food, but it needed some sauce. John, have you come up against sauce-based frustrations in this country?
Every day of my life. Yeah, absolutely. We could do with a bit of gravy sometimes.
Yeah, man.
Something to kind of give us a little textural variety, some taste bud variety, obviously. But it's just, I think it's related to the whole a la carte mentality of, you order potatoes separately from your meat, and you order salad separately from that, and they kind of all get thrown together on the plate. And there's that sauce that kind of brings it all together. Is too often missing.
I think they kind of use salad as a substitute for sauce over here. They have a wonderful variety of salads
cabbage,
I don't like here as well.
Well, the salad thing is initially confusing because most of the time salad in a typical Polish restaurant is what we call coleslaw or sauerkraut or variations of grated carrot thereof. Although increasingly we are seeing certainly I as British probably. Guys, salad as being a few limp lettuce leaves, a bit of chopped up tomato, and some slime.
Since we've stumbled over this way, what do you think about the larger restaurant scene generally here?
Well, I think it'd be a shame to talk about this topic, not to mention that I think Josh touched on it earlier about the ancient culinary traditions in the country, which were utterly wiped out by World War II. And then the restaurant business was nationalised. It was seen as capitalistic to go out and spend a lot of money on a meal. So obviously there was a massive lowering of standards. So when we got here, we were starting to see the green shoots of a culinary revolution in Krakow, and it's blossomed into something truly special. Truly special in the sense, I'm not saying you can put it up against some of the most cosmopolitan cities in Europe when it comes to restaurant quality, but it's affordable to go out and eat in Krakow. There is lots of options, and there's lots of good restaurants now, crossing many different cuisines. There's still a lot of holes in the offerings, but overall, come on. It's like everything we say, we've seen an awful lot of development and change in the city. And the best thing is, of course, is the rise of the burger bar. They are everywhere now. Moa Burger started a revolution in this town.
Burgers on every corner.
They are so good, juicy, so happy. You just could not get a decent burger when I moved to Krakow. It was McDonald's or it was nothing.
Now you can't get away from them.
Now they're everywhere, and that's great.
I can remember talking or thinking about how things have changed. I can remember living here in the mid 90s, and the restaurant scene was completely different. It's 20 years ago on the calendar, but in a different sense, it's 100 years ago.
Yes, now John is even bolder.
Yeah, there was a time. There was a time when most people looked at going to a restaurant as a waste of money. It was it was reserved for special occasions. It was for wedding parties, for a handful of other occasions. That was pretty much it. Of course, I'm not counting like little cheap burger bars and whatnot. But as time passes and people have more money and just kind of everything becomes like it is elsewhere in Europe and elsewhere in the world, we have more and more options. Of course, then again in Krakow we live in kind of an island in a sense that because of tourism and whatnot, it's very different here. Go to Tarnów, go to Nowy Sącz, go to Kielce, and your options are kind of limited, but again much better than it was 20 years ago. But just the idea that maybe once a week or a few times a month you would go out to eat instead of having dinner in your own kitchen is still a fairly new and novel idea for a lot of people here.
Well, I got to be honest, 20 years ago the restaurant scene wasn't great in Dublin or London either. I mean, those cities have undergone a transformation as well. I mean, English food has gone from being a laughing stock of the world to one of the premium countries for top end restaurants. And certainly the gastronomic advances have occurred in my home city.
Milk bars, but people.
Let's talk about milk bars. I cannot believe we've been chatting about food this long. We haven't talked about milk bars. You're a very bad host, John.
A quick word of explanation. Anybody doesn't know, milk bar is the translation. It's called bar mleczny in Polish. It's like your bare bones kind of straightforward cafeteria kind of style setup. You order at a counter. You sit down, wait for your number to be called. You go pick up your dish, and it's inexpensive. Many of them are subsidized by the government, so it's quite cheap, and it's kind of a staple. It's a fixture of the Polish restaurant scene, has been for quite a long time. I guess we're all fans of the milk. Who doesn't like the milk bar? I love the milk bar.
I did a very quick bit of research because I wanted to answer a question before we recorded this piece that I've had. One of them questions you kind of ask yourself and you kind of think, I'll check that out, and you never do. I wanted to know when the milk bar was invented, and I'm glad to say there is an answer to this, and I'll amuse everybody by attempting to pronounce a Polish name. It was established in 1896 in Warsaw by Stanisław Dłużewski.
Close enough.
A member of the Polish landed gentry. Now, it seems that the idea, of course, was, how would you say, taken over after the communists took power, and it was just became the worker bar of mixture of Russian and Polish histories there. But I find I was lucky living beside that one on Sebastiana because the food was really good. It was cozy, it was comfortable, it was cheap as hell. I had a very favourable impression of the milk bar based on that one place because I never went anywhere else. If I was having Polish food, that's where I went, so that's my experience.
We're thinking about milk bars. We kind of use it as a name for the broad general category of restaurants. They're all privately owned, but some of them, not all of them, but some of them are subsidized by the government. Even today,
Really?
3 decades after the end of communism, the Polish government today still spends about 20 million a year. Sounds like a lot of money. It is to hold in your hand. But
like the ones in train stations and stuff.
The ones, I don't know.
Like dodgy bus stations have them, and you're thinking, who eats here?
I think the ones that are subsidized are typically out of high traffic areas. The ones that are in high traffic
that's
areas
what I mean, like out in the sticks.
They're the ones that look like
smaller towns,
still in 1974 with
exactly, and they have a great. There are a couple. There's one on Daszyńskiego, close to Glory Kazimierz, close to you, Dave.
The food's all right out of that one.
The food is good, but you still feel like you're stepping back into 1978, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. But and they're also funny because you look at the menu, and often the prices are really oddball. It's like 3 zlotys and 84 groszy.
Yeah,
and 4 zlotys and 19 groszy. It's really, really strange.
I like that though. I like that.
Should the government be? I know we're getting into a different subject here, but should the government be subsidizing cheap meals for people these
Absolutely
days?
not. No.
Yeah, as long as they don't subsidize anyone smiling or being friendly in these places, because I don't want that.
Definitely
I don't want to. I want to have the genuine milk bar experience. I want everyone to go in there and just quickly eat their food and leave. I like the one on Daszyńskiego. If that's government sponsored, they're doing it's a fine program. It's only a drop in the ocean anyway, isn't it? 20 million is like really.
Poland, you've got weird food. We've got weird food. And sorry, Dave has one more thing to say.
I wasn't finished. I was about to give a massive shout out to the fact that by a mile the best milk bar in Krakow, and I'm guessing Poland, is run, operated and exclusively cooked in by an Irishman named Tom Naughton, who also used to own a great bar here called Nice Vego. And fair play, Tom. Respect. The food is absolutely wonderful.
Food over here, Tom.
Packed from opening time till shutting time.
That is the only issue is getting a seat. Sometimes I walk all the way up 25 minutes and I can barely get near the place. Irish breakfast is wonderful as well.
Irish breakfast at a Polish milk bar.
Yes.
Excellent.
And fish and chips.
Yeah.